everyone! Some major news broke out from CD Projekt RED. These are bombastic announcements about all of their future games and major franchises. I'm going to go over each of the announcements made by the company after their October strategy meeting. Among the announcements is a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 and 5 games within the Witcher universe among several other major key announcements. There's a lot to unpack from the social media posts and the PDF release, so let's start. The biggest news of them all is the one that is getting all of the attention online, and that is the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel. First, let's go over the Cyberpunk announcements and what exactly does it mean for the company. First of all, CD Projekt RED repeated what we know about the upcoming expansion, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, the new single expansion to the main game that is set to come out next year. They also confirmed the sequel is the reason for why we are getting just one expansion. They plan to invest all of their resources to develop the new sequel. That includes establishing a new studio in Boston for that purpose. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty is a major story-driven expansion to Cyberpunk 2077. Currently, it's in the final production phase. It was developed by CD Projekt RED team, which contained 350 plus people working on that expansion. Next, they announced Project Orion. It's a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 that will prove the full power and potential of the Cyberpunk universe. It's going to be developed by the CD Projekt RED main team. The company added that it's a Cyberpunk release which will further develop the potential embodied by this universe. Project Orion will be developed by CD Projekt RED North America, which will comprise the newly created Boston hub along with their existing Vancouver team. This studio is separate from the Molasses Flood, which is working on Sirius and is also based in Boston. They claim that establishing a new studio, CD Projekt RED North America, will enable them to fully tap into the North American talent pool. On Twitter, the developers clarified that part of the team which worked on Cyberpunk 2077 will relocate to Boston to serve as the basis for the new Boston hub. Their American team will handle the sequel, while the Polish team will develop the Witcher trilogy, and both will work on the 2 major franchises simultaneously. The news about the sequel is a big development for the franchise, considering they have yet to release the first and only expansion that is slated to be released next year. Despite the various updates, there is still a lot of room to improve the first game. So perhaps they plan to fix and realize all of their promises from the first game in the sequel. It seems like they do have a plan to fulfill the full potential of Cyberpunk, something they failed to do with the first game, even though it was a good game but it fell below the initial expectations. They mentioned that all new games will contain a multiplayer element together with the single-player experience. It's unknown to what extent these multiplayer elements will be integrated with the main games. Next is the news about the 5 new Witcher games that are all part of the Witcher IP. The first one is codenamed Sirius, and is developed by the American Molasses Flood that was acquired by CD Projekt RED. Project Sirius is an innovative take on the Witcher universe, telling an unforgettable story for existing Witcher fans and new audiences. It's currently in the pre-production phase, and will be developed by the Molasses Flood together with CD Projekt RED. They promised to deliver a unique experience with this game. The company further stated that compared to existing CD Projekt RED games, this one will target a much broader audience. Sirius will include single-player and multiplayer gameplay. Based on this statement, I presume there's a chance the game will be PG-rated and won't be adult-oriented like the other games. To me, it feels like a self-contained, small indie type of a game compared to the other major AAA RPG games that are planned by the company. The second biggest announcement after the Cyberpunk sequel is codenamed Project Polaris and is related to the Witcher IP. It refers to the new Witcher saga starting with Witcher 4 as part of a new trilogy in the franchise. Many people, including myself, predict that Ciri will be the main protagonist of the new trilogy. It's a story-driven open-world RPG built on the legacy of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. In that PDF release, they added that the saga will consist of 3 games which they plan to release during a 6-year publishing cycle, starting with the release date of Polaris itself. The second and third part of the saga will be based on the foundation which they put in place for Polaris. Using this new approach, they plan to improve their game development pipeline, but without giving on any of their artistic ambitions. The company intends to raise the bar higher and higher with each successive release. In my opinion, this plan seems extremely ambitious, and personally I don't see how they can bring 2 major sequels to The Witcher 4 within the span of 6 years. It seems like they'll have only 3 years after the first game to develop the second game in the trilogy. Even with all of their improvements, this seems completely unrealistic. To clarify, there's no commitment of a timeline or release date of any of the games in the new trilogy. This is a general statement that mentions their intention to release all games consecutively within the span of 6 years after the release of the first game of the trilogy, which doesn't have any expected release date as of this moment. It will probably take several years before we'll see the first game of the new trilogy, and the same is true for the other new games. The third game is codenamed Canis Majoris. It's a story-driven single-player open-world RPG set within the Witcher universe. It's going to be developed by an external studio under the supervision of experienced developers who have previously worked on the Witcher games. They intend to use Unreal Engine 5 and the toolset created for Polaris. And finally, they ended their presentation by announcing a new game with the codename Hadar. It's a new standalone IP distinct from The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077. It's considered a new original IP. They added that for the first time in their history, CD Projekt RED is developing an entirely new universe from scratch. Early conceptual work began in 2021. As of the publication date of this document, there's ongoing work on the foundations of this world, laying the setting for a third separate product line in the future. There's really nothing to discuss as there is no information beyond just the announcement of the existence of a third IP. This could be anything: a historical game, a futuristic game, a game that has a different format altogether compared to all of their other AAA RPG games. It shows their commitment to expand and grow the company beyond their 2 main franchises and to continue to evolve as a gaming company. I just hope they won't stretch themselves thin by trying too many things all at once. They need to learn from their mistakes and not to push themselves too hard in too many directions. They should take their time without rushing any of their games, especially the top ones like the new Witcher trilogy and the Cyberpunk sequel. From what I have seen online, it seems like most of the fans are willing to give another chance for the company despite the Cyberpunk 2077 mess from 2 years ago. From the additional information in their published material, it appears like they plan to expand their franchises, enhance their ability to deliver more content to the gamers with a focus on quality, and introduce multiplayer elements to their next few games. Their declared ESG intentions seem innocuous, at least for now. But I worry this may restrict their creative ability to deliver quality storytelling without being forced by investors and loud groups on social media to change stuff for things unrelated to the creative process due to the company's commitment to the ESG guidelines. They plan to expand their IPs, including expanding into other mediums like TV shows, movies, comics, manga, mobile games, and more by collaborating with external partners. The company added in that PDF release that such collaboration will enable them to broaden their product portfolio, reach new consumers, and enhance their experience, which comes from interacting with their universes. Going further beyond RPGs and fully realizing the potential of The Witcher and Cyberpunk through new products, collaborations, media types, and formats, all in order to maximize the reach, recognition, and strength of their brands. Based on these declarations, the company plans to expand the IPs using both mobile games and other media platforms, as was shown recently with The Witcher on Netflix, which I personally dislike, and the release of the successful and lauded anime Edgerunners, which revived the interest in the video game and brought many new players and returning players to try and give Cyberpunk 2077 a chance after its latest 1.6 update. In all of their published material containing the new announcements, they wisely added a lengthy legal disclaimer to prevent any possible complaints about false advertisement, which caused them massive problems, including legal ones, after the faulty launch of Cyberpunk 2077. The announcements about their future games are the general expectations by the company, but they're not going to necessarily adhere to these announcements, and things may change based on necessity. Now, I am very happy about all of this news. I'm a big fan of the company and its games, and while I still think Cyberpunk 2077 could have been executed much better, the game is still a very good open-world RPG, and without a doubt holds a lot of untapped and yet unrealized potential. A potential which I hope that will be truly realized in the sequel. The Witcher 3 was my favorite game of all time, and I have no doubt Witcher 4 will follow in the same steps as long as they stay true to their identity and commitment to provide quality games. I truly can't wait to play all of these games. In the coming weeks, months, and years, I'll follow and do my best to talk about the various aspects of all of the projects and the news surrounding them. And with that, I thank you for watching this video. What do you think about the news? Please share your opinions in the comment section down below, and if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be up to date with all my future videos, and I'll see you next time.